with the details of that story. Over to you, Sumita.
Food tech major Zomato has changed its name from Zomato Limited to Eternal Limited, and this the company has communicated in a stock filing. Now remember, the company has been using the name Eternal internally within the company for nearly 2 years now, but today they communicated the same. In fact, the company has also communicated that they've gotten the approval of the board of directors. Now shareholder approval is awaited. In fact, in the stock filing, the company says, and I quote, "When we acquired Blinkit, we started using Eternal instead of Zomato internally to distinguish between the company and the brand or the app. We thought that we would publicly rename the company to Eternal the day something beyond Zomato became a significant driver of our future. Today with Blinkit, I feel we are there. We would like to rename Zomato Limited, the company, not the brand or the app, to Eternal Limited." So just to be sure and just to reiterate the same, Zomato says that they would like to rename Zomato Limited, that is the company, to Eternal, and it's not the app or other brand. And now the business, which is called Eternal Limited, it will encompass all of Zomato's businesses, that is Blinkit, Hyperpure, District, and of course the food delivery arm. In fact, Dipinder Goyal has also written a letter to shareholders, and he says, talking about the name, that Eternal is a powerful name, and to be honest, it scares me to my core. It's a tall order to live up to because Eternal carries both a promise and a paradox. This isn't just a name, it is a mission statement, a reminder etched into our identity that we will endure, not because we are here, but because we need to get there. Now, the change in name comes in at a very interesting time when there is, of course, an influx of very many quick commerce companies. There is intensifying competition in the delivery space as well. So the new change, name change, will get reflected on the stock ticker.
All right. So that's the details for Zomato's name change. But to weigh in on that, we're now joined by Rahul Jain, who's the VP Research of Daulat Capital. Hi, Rahul. Thank you so much for joining us today. Rahul, you know, the food tech giant Zomato has officially changed its name to Eternal. Now, this rebranding decision has been rumored for a while now, and it marks a pivotal shift as far as the company's, expands its business portfolio beyond just food delivery. How do you read into this move and the rationale behind it?
Yeah, I think this name has been communicated to the shareholders in their letter in the past. So it's not like a very, very big surprise. And as they also mentioned that internally they've been using this new name for quite some time. I think the bigger logic behind doing this is, as you would know, it all started with the food delivery business, but now they have other businesses and brand which are much larger. So Zomato brand clearly replicates or reflects their food delivery business, but they have a very large quick commerce business and other businesses as well. In fact, if you look at where Blinkit is today, probably in a year's time, it would probably surpass the GOV and revenue of that what is done by Zomato. So it makes a lot of sense that the core holding brand should have a bigger identity than just one business alone. And that's why I think this is what they are shaping into.
Right, Rahul, you mentioned a couple of things. Firstly, how big Blinkit is getting, and perhaps, as far in terms of GOV, and it's turning out to be a bigger business. And like you mentioned, that Dipinder Goyal had mentioned, and I'll read it out for the benefit of our viewers. He said that, we started using Eternal instead of Zomato internally to distinguish between the company and the brand / the app. We also thought that we would publicly rename the company to Eternal the day something beyond Zomato became a significant driver of our future. Well, this is a clear indication of Blinkit now becoming a bigger lever for growth for Zomato in the future, and the management is rather confident about the three businesses besides Zomato, which is Blinkit, District, and Hyperpure.
Yeah, I mean, it's already, as we said, the quick commerce business itself is currently 80% the size in terms of GOV compared to Zomato, and even the Hyperpure business and the going out business itself are emerging to be a big opportunity within the ecosystem. So those are the things for which the brand and the company name has to be differentiated and represent the holistic opportunity rather than representing only one part of the business. And we know that they have invested big even in the district business when they acquired the assets and IPs from Paytm. So I'm sure going out itself could be a big business in itself. So it make a lot of sense as a logical extension to have a name which is far wider in terms of representation rather than one part of the business alone.
Right, Rahul, quickly before we wrap, how do you see the investors respond to this? Is this likely to instill more confidence on the back of a confident management, or is this likely to, create a bit of a confusion as far as investors are concerned?
No, I don't think it would have an immediate repercussion in terms of how investor would look at it. I think the name itself is not new. We've been knowing it because it has been represented in several letters in the past. I think what investor would be eventually thinking as in logical thought process is that is it a possibility that in a future at some point of time they may have different businesses operating as a different entities. So is it a possibility that in future the quick commerce business is listed separately compared to the food delivery business versus some other businesses? And this being a holdco while other businesses could be separately listed at a different point of time. I mean, it's very far-fetched to think at this point, but that could be a possibility what would come into investor mindset when they look at um, this change. But this could be really, really far away from that. I don't think it may happen in any immediate future because the cash flows are generated in one businesses, while quick commerce will require a lot of
Right,
investment into the near future. But yes, at
right.
some point of time, it could become different businesses.
Right, right. Though far-fetched, Rahul, there could be a possibility of the businesses listing separately as investors could see it. But on that note, thank you so much for joining us. Well, with that, it's time for us to slip into a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.